In today's video, we're going to talk about how to improve your focus in a highly distracted world. I mean, it is no secret that being able to improve your focus is a new superpower, especially within this generation. And I'm going to outline the steps backed by science to really help you achieve that. Hey, what's up guys? My name is Miles, university student who is helping you really achieve your maximum potential. And we're going to dive into how this can be done through improving your level of focus. Now, throughout this video, I'm going to talk about things from waking up all the way down to your sleep, your environment, tracking, and so much more. So make sure you stay tuned because throughout the video, I'm going to outline the methods that you need to implement in order to see significant changes within your focus. So let's start off with when you wake up. Now, everyone has their own optimal time of when they like to wake up. For myself personally, that is between 5 to 6 a.m. in the morning. Why? Number one, I'm not being faced with high level of distraction. I mean, typically at 5 to 6 a.m., you're not receiving many phone calls or text messages and emails, and it allows me to really get focused in my work and not feel the pressures from the outside world coming on to me. And instead of responding to the world, I am making the world respond to me and my actions. As a university student, this can be difficult at times, and there are nights where I'm up a little bit later, and in order to wake up at an early time like 5 to 6 a.m., you do have to be in bed at an appropriate time. But knowing when I work best is very, very crucial, and you should do the same for yourself. You should know what time is your most optimal time to really increase your level of focus. Is it 7 a.m.? Is it 8 a.m.? Whatever that is. And once you've established that time, you should make it your effort to wake up at that time. But it's not enough just to get up at that time, because you also need to implement the right habits once you're up at that time. So I remember during the pandemic when I would wake up at a pretty decent time, but my first plan of action was to grab my phone and then scroll social media for 15 to 20 minutes, or so I thought. But when I checked the clock, there was times where I was spending upwards to an hour. And this is what you do not want to do. When you wake up early or at your optimal time, you want to attack your to-do list as quickly and as effectively as possible. Do not let the distractors, and we'll talk about that more later in the video, like your phone, take away from your level of focus. And another reason why this is such a problem is that it kills momentum throughout your day. When you wake up at your optimal time of focus and then you start to do work and checking off your to-do list, this actually helps increase your momentum and really helps you stay focused throughout the entirety of the day. Versus when you're checking your phone, you're distracted. This really destroys your momentum and makes it harder to get focused later on throughout different parts in your day. So now that you've identified the appropriate time where you like to wake up, and you understand the right strategies to implement, you need to be very, very critical of what your distractors are. And your distractors are essentially the things that take away from your focus. So for some of us, that is your phone, maybe close friends or family, maybe certain vices that are really holding you back from achieving your potential. These are all categorized as distractors. For myself personally, one of my biggest distractors was my phone. In the past, I was guilty of really spending a lot of time on my phone that wasn't quite productive and really took away from my level of focus. And a lot of that stemmed in a fear of missing out. I mean, I would check social media pretty constantly just because I wanted to be up to date with everything that was going on. I felt that if I wasn't connected to like social media and constantly checking it daily, I would be uninformed of everything that was going on. Now, as someone who has taken prolonged breaks from social media, I can assure you that you are not missing out once you aren't checking your phone every day. I mean, I've taken days up to weeks away from social media, and every time I come back, I realize that honestly, I did not miss much, if not anything at all. Another distractor could be your friends or your family. And although most of them have good intentions, we all probably have a few stories of when we're trying to do a high level of focused work and we have a close friend or a family who's really taking away from that level of focus. And when you want to dive into deep work with a high level of focus, a distraction takes away and really resets that cycle. But again, we're not trying to bash our friends or family. It's just really important to understand what your distractors are when those triggers are activated. Because now if you can identify, okay, maybe a friend or a family takes away from my level of focus, especially when I want to do highly focused work, you can then position yourself in an environment that really optimize for your focus. And that leads us perfectly into my next point, which is how to optimize your focus within your environment. So if you're hoping to improve your focus, your environment really matters. And it's really important to identify which environment do you work best in. I know for myself personally that I work best in an environment that doesn't have too much noise, so too much people talking, but isn't complete silence. When there's too much people talking, it's very hard for me to get focused. And when there's complete silence, I'll get pretty tired and want to fall asleep. So I like the noise level to be moderate, but I also appreciate a space like a library where there's people around me who are also doing work and really focused on their goals, because it inspires me to really get in and focus on my work as well. I also know that I work well in a setting that has a lot of natural light, large windows, because it helps my mental health feel a lot better, and it's an environment that I actually want to work in. And finally, I know that I get really distracted if I see a lot of people walking around in front of me. So I typically like to position myself in a space where there's not too much foot traffic moving around near me, or where my face is like directly against like a blank wall where I can't see what's going on in front of me. Just because like if there was a bunch of people walking by, I mean, I'm gonna be like that little puppy that's looking up like, what's going on, which really takes away from my ability to get into my focused work. But do you see how specific that is? I'm telling you exactly what environments do I work best in, because I know that's when I am the most focused, which is going to allow me then, when I am trying to do my focused work, to select for those environments and really just avoid the other environments that do not have what I'm looking for. And your optimal environment is going to differ from person to person, but I want to know from you specifically, what environment do you work best in? Is it natural light with windows? Do you like to be in complete silence or in solitude? Let me know in the comment sections down below. Now, the next important thing, if you really are trying to take your focus serious and get it to that next level, is your ability to track your level of focus. Tracking has absolutely transformed my ability to stay focused, because I am now very aware of how much hours I'm spending towards my task, and it also allows me to hit certain goals each time I'm trying to stay focused for a project, assignment, test, exam, whatever the case may be. And my system of tracking has changed over time. I mean, it originally started off with using apps like Notion, where I would check off to-do lists, and then it transitioned to pen and paper, where I would write out what I'm doing throughout the day and cross it out. And now it is a hybrid of the two, where I use Notion as like a second brain, but at the same time, I still like to use pen and paper, crossing out the to-dos. And then finally, recently, I've implemented a new strategy, and this strategy takes the process of gamification and makes tracking fun. So what I do is implement the Pomodoro technique, and this technique allows you to work on whatever task you're trying to work on for 25 minutes and then take a 5-minute break. So what I do now is I use sticky notes, and then I will tally each time throughout that 25-minute span that I was completely focused, which means I didn't check my phone, I wasn't scrolling on any emails or any social media sites. For that 25 minutes, I was absolutely locked into my goals. And now my goal here is to get anywhere between 5, 6, 7 fully focused Pomodoro technique blocks. Now this is actually quite harder than it looks, because you'll be surprised of how many times you will be randomly distracted, or you're trying to do work and you get a phone call. But what this system has allowed me to do is to be very aware of how much time I'm spending with regards to my focus. I mean, we all have that friend, or maybe you've done it yourself too, where you went to the library for 4 hours and you're like, yeah, you know what? I spent 4 hours today at the library. I got 4 hours of work done. But in reality, when you track your focus, you'll be lucky if you even get 2 hours of focus work in that 4-hour span at the library. And that is what that system has allowed me to do. It's allowed me to really identify, okay, this is how much time I've spent worked on this task in a highly focused manner. Now, the next thing that we're going to talk about is breaks. And I understand that within today's culture and hustle culture, going after your goals, breaks aren't always encouraged. But I can tell you, especially backed by science, that breaks are fundamental for your ability to stay focused for a prolonged period of time. I mean, we probably all have our own experiences of sitting down at our desk for a long time and then not taking the appropriate breaks. And then what happens? Well, you start to feel a little bit tired, you may doze off, and it's this vicious cycle that continues. But if you had took the appropriate breaks, you could actually break this cycle, take productive breaks, and then go back into your work with a new level of focus to really accomplish your goals that much quicker. And this is why I am a huge advocate of the Pomodoro system. And what's interesting about this system is, again, like I mentioned before, it allows you to work for 25 minutes on and take a 5-minute break. But what I've realized throughout my own work is that it's around the 35-minute mark for myself personally where I start to lose my focus. And then I like to take a 5, sometimes 10-minute break to really reset and then come back at my work with a new level of focus. So I say that to say that, play around with this strategy. You do not have to just work for the 25 minutes, take a 5-minute break. For you, it might be 45 minutes and then you take a 15-minute break. For me, what I found works the best is taking a 35-minute work period and then taking a 10-minute break, which gives me enough time to stay focused, but enough time to take a break and then come back and really attack my work again. And breaks are gonna differ for everyone. I know personally that some students like to sit down for 1 hour, just do the work, and then take their big break later. Or there's other students who need to work for 25 minutes or 20 minutes and then take their break and then come back into their work. Now, I'm not too concerned about how you really get your work in. It's about being honest with yourself and being like, okay, I could stay focused for this amount of time before I start to lose my focus, but I'm really encouraging you throughout that system to take breaks when needed. And another high performance tip on top of that is to be productive throughout your breaks. So taking a break doesn't just mean going on your phone, scrolling on social media for 10 minutes and then going back into work. No, you probably have other tasks that you need to do. Like, can you prepare your laundry? Could you get your clothes ready for the next day? Could you quickly rearrange something and then jump back into your work and continue that cycle? And I'm telling you, you will get through your entire day with everything that you need to get done so much quicker. So give it a try and let me know how it goes. Now, last but not least, something to improve your focus at a very high level is sleep. Now, take this from somebody who definitely neglected their sleep. I remember being in my first year of university where I would go to bed anywhere between 12:30 to 1 and then be up at 4:35 a.m. in the morning. And this was so counterproductive because I would go to class or be in meetings not fully focused and really struggle to get through my entire day. But I was so adamant about waking up early, making sure I'm on track, and then a lot of the work that I was doing would keep me up very late at night. But now, as someone who's really valued the importance of sleep, I am telling you that if you want to stay focused, you need to respect your sleep. And sleep is a very interesting topic because how much sleep you'll need throughout a night is going to differ from person to person. And there have been some cases for myself personally where I've gotten over 11 hours of sleep, woken up, and then felt extremely exhausted and tired throughout my day. Whereas other times where I'm getting 7 hours of sleep, feeling very, very energetic and ready to attack the day. And from a science perspective, this is all about your sleep-wake cycle. But essentially for you, this comes down to really understanding who you are and how much sleep you need. For myself personally, like I mentioned before, 7 hours of sleep is my optimum. If I get 7 hours of sleep, it's going to be an excellent day where I'm going to be very focused and not doze off. And this allows me to be very intentional about when I'm going to bed, when I'm waking up, and really completing my task. So that is it for today's video. I hope you guys all enjoyed, and I'm excited to see you implement these strategies to really increase your level of focus, because in order to really become a high performing individual and take that to the next level, you have to be very intentional about how you do your focused work. So I hope these tips and strategies help you implement this at a high level. I can't wait to see you win and succeed. And remember to always believe that you will achieve. My name is Miles and I'm signing off. Woo!